3. It's happening. Oh, it's still kind of rainy and still kind of dumb, but there it is. It's here. It's here. Oh, swarm the guy. Take the thing. There it is, right there. No more waiting for harnesses. No more waiting for gauges. How do you feel right now, Derek?
Pretty excited.
I'm pretty happy about
Ready to get
this.
this thing done.
Oh. Now let's have it. Open it. What's in the box?
In the box.
What's in the box? Oh, this is just making me so excited. Yeah. There's our gauges. Insight Edge CTS2. And then that should be our arc panel for all of our auxiliary switches and whatnot. Okay.
Looks like it says arc.
I think it's time to start our Snowcat. What do you think?
Let's do it. Ooh.
This one's not nearly as exciting to unbox because it doesn't have shiny packaging.
Some people know what they're looking at. So.
Yeah, switches.
Lots and lots of them.
Well, give me that, and we'll just take that right over to Craig, who's out there unloading stuff, and see if he'll cut us a panel. Hey, stop digging in the trash. We got a trash panda over here digging through the old stuff. So, all this stuff, out of all this old gauge and whatnot, all of these switches and all this garbage, we're getting rid of all of it, like we said before, but we decided we're going to keep the hour meter. So we're trying to pull that out so we can add that to our new dashboard. There's our hour meter, and we're pulling that out so we know, I guess, how many hours. Or are we gonna just write it down? That way we
use that one. We'll just continue it, but
yeah, we'll just continue that, and then we'll write down when we put the new motor in.
yeah.
So we'll measure this whole piece. So what do you think? Should we? I'm gonna say 27.5. To the edge of where that fuse box cover is going to go. Or do we want to move the fuse box cover? We'll hide that. Isn't that what we talked about? Hide all this and then just go from all the way across?
Yeah, I'd go clear over to the...
Okay. So we're going to remove,
basically,
move this down.
yeah, and so... yeah, just
31.5.
take all the orange.
So we're 31.5 right there. And then we are, let's say, 7 inches even tall. And then I think what we'll do with these guys, ta-da! That's our arc fuse plate, or like the switches. So this will run like our ignition and everything that lights up. It's super trick. You could run almost that right there in the top. We could run the switch panel. I don't know, where do you want all this stuff? Do you want the switches over here, there?
Really, probably doesn't.
Probably over here, so you don't have to reach around the steering wheel to get everything, huh?
Well, the CB radio has to go somewhere, and I don't know where.
Put that on the roof.
I mean, it can, yeah.
The CB radio could technically mount anywhere, but we
They
just
can
had
sit behind the seat and...
we had all this space.
Yeah, it can.
Do we just want to make it super simple? Put that right in the center, and then put that right there?
Yeah, I think that looks great.
Oh no, where's our thing? That is the deal. We've got our edge monitor in there, and that's going to give us all of our gauges. We've got our arc panel switches right here that's going to run. I think we'll probably run main ignition, start, and then the rest of these will be like beacon and headlights and running lights and blower motor and windshield wipers and all that stuff. Just right in this slick panel. And now I'm just gonna take that off because we're mounting that down in that firewall area now. And let's see what it looks like when it's all clicked in. I was just too excited to wait. Oh, finally. There's just a little baby storm cloud over there, but dude, the weather has not been our friend on this project at all. We got the trailers getting loaded up for racing. We are like crunch timing this thing hard right now. So, next couple steps are gonna be pretty easy. I still need to pull this fuse thing off, but I've been working on pulling these out. We got these are our signal wires for a lot of our stuff, so we got those pulled out and ready to go. The rest of this I've decided is some kind of arbitrary junk for CB radio that we're just gonna zip tie and tuck that up out of the way, because it is so overwhelming when you're trying to wire and you've got so much other crap that is in the way. So things we're going to be focusing on right now, this right here is our windshield wiper motor. Down here, if I can reach it, that's the blower motor. So we got a blower motor, we got our wipers we're going to need as per my diagram here. That's what that switch panel is going to look like. So the two X's right here and right here, those two are, like I said before, that's our ignition and stuff. The rest of these are going to be those things. Headlights, rear lights, dome lights, heater, beacon, and wipers. There you go. Shifter, still procrastinating on that because it's going to suck. We took the shifter and we rotated the handle backwards, which was a big no-no in the directions. But I'm hoping now that we can mount it here-ish. So as you're sitting in the cockpit, this is so hard to film, by the way. As you're sitting in the cockpit, you go like this and just give her the old pull. So yeah, just cranking right along. Here we go. Almost perfect.
Nice fresh dash.
It almost covers the
orange.
Yeah.
That looks great.
Way better than it did, that's for sure. I just grab some self-tappers real quick. Let's see. Yeah, we could use this. It's my own theme music. What do you think, Derek? I love it. He's a happy boy.
It's a shiny piece of thing.
So this is what it's going to look like. This is basically from my driver view. So these three toggles up here on this spot we decided are going to be for a possible snowplow function in the future. That's our hour meter gauge. Right here through the steering wheel you can see the Edge CTS monitor. And then we've got our buttons. We might recut this because the CB used to sit here, but with the shifter it can't anymore. So we might move this switch panel up and then tuck the CB in here. But for now, she's a hot rod. Okay, so back to the exciting wiring situation. So we took the dash and everything out. We removed that box. I'm gonna relocate that probably down here somewhere. We're gonna have to put a brake switch here on the brake pedal somehow. But for right now, I'm just gonna start doing like a mock wiring. We're gonna get all the components, the key components, wired up to the arc panel. And we'll just do like a dry run, dry fire thing. Get this ground hooked up, get power going to everything, make sure all of our systems check out and they're good. And then once we get it to start, we'll probably rearrange all this stuff and locate it where we want it. Bueno. Okay, come in here. I made Derek hold the phone to film me so you can see my beautiful beard while I talk about harnesses. So this is gonna be our main power wire right here. So essentially you can peek through this hole and we're gonna put our battery is gonna mount behind the seat now as opposed to in the engine cabinet. And then just bear with me, it's gonna be a little hectic. So main power battery is gonna be back here. Now this is gonna run up inside of here into the cabin. And I gotta get the other piece of it. This runs up in the cabin, which is gonna run to our cutoff switch. If you remember from the old videos, the cutoff switch was actually in the front on the side. and I removed that. I think I have a clip of me removing that maybe. Let me take that. And you can see our trick switch mounter. So the battery is gonna mount to that like so, through the back. Once we have power up to there, we're gonna drill a hole through the transmission tunnel here and run the rest of this underneath the Snowcat and up here, which is gonna be our main battery post right there on the starter. So naturally you run from the battery to the starter no matter what, because that's how the starter is gonna get enough power to turn. Now the way they did this harness is, these red wires already attached to the starter are actually running the power to the engine harness and the ECM. So I don't necessarily agree with that style myself, because that means we have to basically, we're running power all the way in here through to there and then back into here to our fuse boxes. This fuse box and all this stuff is gonna sit right here front and center. And then its power wire will actually reach down and attach. Its power wire runs down and attaches here. So yes, it looks chaotic and crazy, but this is how we get all these lined out. So these wires are, I don't even know if we're gonna use them. The PSI conversion, it's the first time we've used them. We really stick to wiring specialties harnesses on most of our projects. What do you think, Derek? If I had to be honest, like, I'm not really stoked on that harness.
It's not the best thing we've used here, but it's all we had. The transmission switches.
Yeah, so we used that one because of on the 4L60 and time frame constraints and stuff. And yeah, I don't know. I just I guess I'm just a little frustrated because there's a lot of things that are silly on it. Like, our fans are not wired. Like, we don't have any fan wires going to the front of the motor. The power running off the starter post, I kind of disagree with that a little bit myself. There's just like things like that. The fuel pump relay is in and it's wired, but you still have to run the power to the fuel pump relay and the signal out, which on all the other harnesses we've used, it's kind of been pre-done. It has a pigtail and you just hook that straight up to the thing. So I'd give it like a 7, maybe a 6, maybe 6, 7. What do you think, Derek?
It'll work.
It'll work. It's going to require a little bit more work on my end to do that stuff, and we paid enough money that I was hoping that it would work better than that, but it didn't. So now we just get to do it the hard way, and naturally it's going to rain a whole bunch, so time to get wet. Now to the behind view. Here's where our battery is going to mount, the good old trusty interstate. We're going to have a ground cable that's going to come off and run to, you know, any of the whole thing's basically a ground. And yeah. So this gas tank, it's hard because my camera won't zoom in there. There we go. That is basically one side of the tank. The other side of the tank's back there. There's a pepcock to shut the fuel off. And they both tie into this T that moves to the pump, that goes to a filter that goes to the front of the vehicle. And what we're gonna do is use this one right here. We're gonna take that off and make a return line. That one's gonna be a fill line, so then we don't have to modify our fuel tank at all. And put the fuel pump and everything where it belongs. And here's the old system, tore out. So now let's make a new one. So to work with our Holly pump, or sorry, MSD, my bad guys. MSD pump, we're gonna use barb fittings on everything. So we got a barb here. There's barb fittings on this new fuel filter that we got. It's an unregulated Nissan 300ZX fuel filter. Works great for what we're trying to do. We've got all of our new line. And then we can come up here and see I used part of that fuel kit that we had. And so this is gonna be the pressure side of the fuel rail where we don't have a barb. And we're just gonna risk it for the biscuit on this bottom guy here. That's the return line, so I'm just hoping that, you know, we're just gonna hope and pray that it doesn't have any problems. But yeah, there you go. Now all we need to do is run a line from here to the front side of that gas tank in the back, and then we need a line from this to go to the back side of that. Now you can kind of see our size comparisons. New pump versus old pump. New filter versus old filter. Now we just need to route the wires. Ta-da! New fuel system installed. Now we just need to wire it. Filter sits up there, fuel pump's right there with the old vintage double clamp system. Fuel lines are ran. That one's on the far side of the exhaust. Hard to tell in the video, but yeah, gonna be real slick. At the top, kind of like what we were talking about before, I just clamped it to that return line right there. We'll tighten these fittings up, but I mean, I can't twist it, I can't pull it off there. So I think we'll be okay. We got our connector for our alternator wire, so we're gonna run that as well. And I'm gonna run the starter signal wire too while I'm down there. Yeah, come here, look at this. So this is gonna be our starter signal wire, small guy. This is gonna be our alternator charge wire, the big guy. Cool thing is, these wires have heat shrink stuff. So you put a little heat on there, boom. Shrink right up. Makes a nice weatherproof connection, which is awesome. That's no fun. Zoom in on it while I'm doing it. That's way more fun to see. There you go. See, it gets hot and seals up to that wire. Hell yeah. Coax it on there a little bit. Boom. And now you've got two perfect weatherproof external connections. Okay, so we ran this right here. This big red wire is actually, everything's tying into the starter point here. So this is actually gonna tie into up here. You can see where we added all the wires to the post. So now all we need to do is add the rest of the wires here off of that post. And we need to run one power wire. And that power wire was gonna run from here, underneath here, and then we're gonna drill a hole right under here in the floor. That's where the battery is gonna sit. We're gonna drill a second hole here so that we can tie our main battery ground to the old frame rail there. And so we make sure that we have good, you know, like we can turn everything off. We've got the keyed power thing. And so what we're gonna do is one ground strap will run from this to the ground. The other one's gonna run from this to the battery. We're gonna mount that inside of there. Okay, so we have the battery here, which is where it's gonna mount, right behind the driver's seat in the cabin. So now we just need to drill a couple of holes right here and right here for our ground straps and our power to come through. Now, since we're running that power wire through here, I'm actually gonna flip the battery around as to make it a lot easier. So now our big power just has to come straight up in there, and then our ground can come down and over. And bam, just like that. So we'll put a 7/8 grommet in that hole and run that wire down through there, like so. Then on this side, we'll run a 7/8 grommet as well and run the power cable up. Put her in the hole, Joe. There we go. Hang on. I gotta change it. Wiring updates. So, we got our main ground strap from our engine to our chassis right there. So now we've got all the power wires ran and tucked together, and they're going up inside of there. We've got our main power cable. You can see him right there, thick boy. He's running all the way down and up into the cabin here. We've got our main battery ground going to that frame rail. So everything's grounded now through the chassis here, as opposed to how it was grounded before, which was from the body. But we've got straps going from the body to this, the motor to this, and the battery to this. We figured this was a better spot. So now we're pretty much ready to fire this bitch up. So hopefully that word gets edited out a couple times, you know, whatever. We got our board up here mounted, and our wires go into that, and then that all connects to our dashboard up here. So all in all, we're doing solid.